Hey, good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Pinstripe Chronicles. I am your host, Donald, and it looks like it's me, myself, and I because Uncle Tats, I think, is having some snow problems or whatever is happening weather-wise. It ain't good over there in Long Island. So, uh, Uncle Tats can't make the show, so it's just going to be me. So, what are we going to talk about? Well, I guess we're going to talk about the spring has started. Spring training has started. What are your expectations for spring training? Are there any position battles that you're looking out for? Is there anything of note that you guys are paying attention to? How is the bullpen going to shape out? Is there an arm that you're excited to see? This is going to be an interactive show because we're very early in spring, so there's not too many like storylines developing or anything like that. So this is going to be an interactive show. So let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We got Miguel. What's going on, Miguel? Morning, everyone. Let's have a good Yankee discussion here. That's what we're always aiming to provide. FJ, good morning to FJ. We've got Jonathan. What's going on, John? How are you, man? What's going on there, bro? We got Angle, but wake up to a nice 1-2. Angel Boy, what's going on, Angel Boy? And we got John the Beagle Dad. He is the early bird. Hello, fellas. It's Monday again. Great to have you guys on since I am working. So John the Beagle Dad is working, but clearly listening to us at the same time. That's my guy, always loyal to the show. Got Healing Man Hearts in the chat. Can't wait for the games to start. We'll see how much running it back looks like trash. There's that morning positivity for you on a Monday. Right. So the first kind of point was from Jonathan here. I'm excited to see ERC and Chase Hamilton. Well, ERC does look pretty good, right? He has looked pretty good from what I've heard. What else have we got here? I'm curious what Cam and Ryan Weathers will look like. The staff is heavily dependent on those two guys excelling. Am I right that Ryan Weathers was clocked at like 97.8 or something like that, like 98 miles an hour right off the bat in February? If that's the case, wow. It could be interesting, but it's really health dependent with him because his stuff is great. It's really just health dependent for our guy Ryan Weathers, but I do quite like that pickup. I think that was a smart pickup from Brian Cashman, and it absolutely minimal, if any, cost whatsoever. So, like, that was a smart pickup, I think, and. You know, he has upside where he could be a legit third starter, fourth starter in a good rotation. And I like the fact that he's already clocked it in 98 miles an hour right off the bat in February. It's pretty impressive. We got Miguel saying Weathers is the one that's impressing everyone right now. It's a great sign. Very good sign. He had a pretty good year last year. So yeah, no, I quite like that pickup. I thought that was a smart pickup. We got Issy in the chat. What's going on, Is? Everybody hit the like button. Lagrange is hitting 102 miles an hour right now. That's insane. Oh, my God. In February? These guys are ready. I like that. That's a good sign. And Boone's already said that all the position players are already reported, so that's good as well. It looks like everyone's kind of like excited to get started, and it looks like the pitching is already off to a good start with Lagrange hitting over 100, Weathers almost touching 100, just right off the bat. It's a great sign. So got some exciting arms, and Rodriguez Cruz is a beast. Like, he's the dude that I'm kind of paying attention to. I really like him. I would love to see if he can make a bullpen, make it into the bullpen. to start with. I can't see why not. This stuff is legit. This stuff is absolutely legit. So I'm excited about him. Any other people that you're excited to see? People in the chat. Anybody else that you're excited to talk about? The Garrett Cole, I hear, is progressing and doing pretty damn well. I think he's impressing people as well, so that's a good sign. I wonder what his timeline is like. Do you guys think it's going to be like June for a return, something like that? Maybe even May. Who knows? But they're probably not going to rush him. But he looks good from everything that I'm hearing. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm excited to see the young arms. So I think that ERC's like the dude that I'm paying attention to the most. But it's good to see that, like, for instance, Ryan Weathers is looking good. So yeah, according to North Jersey.com, Ryan Weathers threw live Sunday at Yankee camp and was already in the 98 mile an hour range. And he says, he says this. He doesn't even feel like he's trying to throw hard, which is a good sign. That means that he's just got a very effortless delivery. Aaron Boone says, I think he's in a real good spot for us. Sunday's live session also included a look at Weather's solid changeup, sweeper, sinker, and a burgeoning two-seam fastball. So he's basically saying here that his one thing that he's going to try and work on this exhibition season is trusting my stuff in the middle of the plate. I have stuff moving everywhere, so I think it's about just getting in the zone and let my stuff play. Max Fried says he's got a big arm. He's a guy that's pretty athletic on the mound. He's able to pick up some new stuff, try some things out. Fried said, I think he's going to have a really good year. Okay. What's going on? We got Armand in the chat. What's going on, Armand? How are you feeling about the Mutts? What's going on, Essie? No, Donald, I'm not excited about any of them. Let's see what happens. The frustration is baked into the cake for me. Miguel saying, I like this no negativity Donald this morning. Hey, man, I'm trying. I'm trying. What's up, Donald? I expect cold June. I'm excited for Elmer Lagrange and Spencer Jones. That's my boy, Spencer Jones. Now, let's talk a little bit about Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Are both of them going to be starting in AAA? This would be ideal if I put up a poll in the chat. But do you think either of them will be traded before the end of spring, or do you think that both will be starting in AAA? And what do you think is the plan for Jason? Now, let's not forget, Jason is still young. And Aaron Boone says he's very much planning on him working hard as a left fielder. So maybe a really good, solid start to the year in AAA. Maybe gets him a call-up, and maybe he forces his way through. Trent Grisham, I believe, is eligible to be traded around about June. But let's be honest, we ain't going to trade him, I don't think. Who's going to take on $22.5 million? It's almost impossible. So I can't see how Dominguez breaks in this year. Who is the fourth outfielder right now? That's a very good question. I think that they're going to try and look for. I could see them maybe going with, as it stands, maybe working out Oswaldo Cabrera in the corners as a possibility. Maybe Rosario at a pinch at left field. I can see them doing that. And then as for a backup at center field, you got Bellinger who can shift over. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I think Oswaldo Cabrera is going to be the fourth outfielder. They'll need a spot for him. Rosario can play a pinch in the corners as well. I'd prefer that over, looking outside. I think we go a fourth outfielder, and then if needed, then you could call up Dominguez or Spencer Jones. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, Stevie B says it isn't really a crazy need, and I do tend to agree with that. Especially with the depth that we have with Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Where do you think Dominguez is playing? I think he's playing AAA, and I think he's going to be focused very much solely on left field. That's what I believe. And I'm okay with it, really, to be fair. Dominguez says on the potential opening the season in the minors, and if it adds more pressure, that's something that's there definitely, but that's something I can't control either. So I'm trying to do my best to see the results at the end. He's got a really good attitude, and I'm not giving up on Dominguez whatsoever, and nor should we. I believe that there's still more stories to tell on Dominguez. I think at the moment, though, it is almost probably for the best that he gets every day at bats. So I guess that's what it's going to be. But we've got Bob Clappish. He's got an article saying here, Yankees outfield math just doesn't add up for Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Yeah. No shit. No shit, man. But let's see what he's got to say about this. Patience is the last piece of advice MLB prospects want to hear on their way up the ladder. So forgive Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones for that 1,000-yard stare when the conversational road leads to playing time in 2026. Both outfielders are facing near impossible odds of cracking the opening day starting lineup. Dominguez is backing up Bellinger in left field. Jones is rung up below Dominguez on the depth chart and headed for AAA. Don't expect a word of protest, though. Like state-run television, the Yankees keep their storylines G-rated in camp. That is true. It is. That is very true. But no negativity. Donald will not be saying anything more than state-run television. That's exactly what they are. Neither Dominguez nor Jones is crazy enough to say anything they will regret. That's true. But it doesn't take a genius to realize how impatient they must be. Dominguez, after all, got a taste of MLB, 123 games. But that was before Trent Grisham's breakout 34 home run year. Meanwhile, Jones raised his profile in the minors, playing all three outfield positions at AA and AAA, combined for 35 homers, 80 ribbies, and 29 stolen bases. There are only two ways Dominguez and Jones can catch a break. The first is injury. History tells us Stanton's first breakdown is just around the corner, and that would open up the DH spot for either Judge or Bellinger, creating room in left field. Second possibility is Grisham's regression to career norms, which would turn him into a late inning defensive replacement. The Yankees believe they've unlocked Grisham's potential at the plate and that his out of nowhere power was no fluke. The club made Grisham a $22 million qualifying offer over the winter precisely because of their faith that he'll continue to take advantage of Yankee Stadium's short porch. But that doesn't mean Grisham was a tough out. A career .218 hitter. Grisham batted .235 during the regular season and was all but invisible in the playoffs. When he hit 138 with no home runs. Yeah, let's give him $22 million. No, I'm not going to be negative this morning. No. Okay, just like Dominguez and Jones, the Yankees will be watching Grisham closely over the next 5 weeks. But make no mistake, the job is his to lose. That means the kids will have to live with the dreaded credo, patience. Brian Cashman delivered the kiss of death to Dominguez this week when he said the young slugger needs more than 100 to 150 at-bats a season to develop. That was as good as handing Dominguez a ticket to AAA. There are things I can control, and there are things I can't control. I have to be ready for the opportunity. Jones was slightly more direct in telling the Yankees he's ready. I'm as confident as anyone in the room. It's just about going out there and proving it. I mean, I would love the Yankees to give him an opportunity, to be fair. After all, Jones is the Yankees' most sought-after prospect. Cashman heard countless trade pitches for Jones this offseason. The 6'7" outfielder is youth, athleticism, size, and power. Jones also has the personality for the big market. Like Judge, he's mature and confident, not afraid of being in front of the camera. But where is he? How he's behind Dominguez. So I don't even know what opportunities are going to be afforded to him. Boone was intimating that Dominguez heading to AAA, where he and Jones will be teammates. If so, Dominguez will be ready. It sounds like he's already preparing for the inevitable. I know the decision isn't mine, so I'm not trying to worry about it. He's just more focused on being mentally prepared. Jones has the same iron will to block out the noise. I hear about what's being said about me from time to time, mostly from my family. I just try to be myself. I tell everyone I'm okay. And if I'm okay, things will take care of themselves. So that was from Bob Clappish. Pretty interesting. The good news is, looks like everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, so that's always a good sign. And it's just the math ain't mathing with this outfield. And that's why I just didn't really like the direction the Yankees went this offseason. They have too many outfielders and not enough quality infielders, but that's for another day. TC Steele says it's impossible to not be negative with this team. You're right. You're absolutely right. Miguel says he's AAA depth. He's not ready for the majors. I guess that's true. The Yankees are the Dodgers of minor league baseball. Our AAA and AAA teams are loaded. Yeah. So it looks like unless Grisham regresses to the mean, which is very much possible because he's been a .218 career hitter to date, and he had multiple years batting in the 100s. So like it is possible that he regresses to the mean. I think it's almost certain that he regresses somewhat from last season. I don't see him having the same year. But at the same time, the Yankees are very much focused on like contracts. So they are not going to move on from Grisham quickly. That 22 million, they're going to be thinking about getting the most bang for their buck. Plus, they hate to be proven that they're wrong. So don't expect any move for Dominguez or Spencer Jones at any point, really, unless one of our outfielders goes on the IL. That's the only thing I can think of. If one of our outfielders go on the IL, then there's a possibility that we see Dominguez or Jones. Probably just be Dominguez. But I would love to see an opportunity where Spencer Jones gets a shot. I like him, man. If you're combining for 35 homers, 80 plus RBIs, and 29 stolen bases in the minors last year, that's great. I'd be excited to see that. Now, obviously, he does need to cut down on his strikeouts, but the only way we're going to know whether he can cut down on his strikeouts is whether he actually gets himself an opportunity. That's the only way we're going to know. Jonathan says, I don't think this team is strong enough to win unless everything goes right and they get some breaks. Well, it depends on what your opinion on win is. Because that's what I think is where the Yankees, their front office and their media big heads, fight with the Yankee fans about, and then and also a section of Yankee fans agree with that, like, winning for the current Yankee regime is like 90 plus wins and making the playoffs. That's what they argue as winning. 90 plus wins, making the playoffs. That's what they view as winning. I think a section of the fan base, they're about world champions. World championships are nothing. That's winning. At worst, absolute worst, an ALCS, a strong ALCS. But anything short of that is failure, and I'm in that boat. That's my camp. That's my camp. That's what I view as winning for the Yankees. You have to be a hell of an ALCS team for me to be satisfied, and you have to win. That's what I view as winning championships. But the current Yankee regime under Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone and Hal and the media big heads, they're going to argue right now that their version of winning is 90 plus wins, making the playoffs, calling it a crapshoot, making excuses, and then when they lose, they have excuses lined up. That's not me being negative. That's exactly what's been happening since 2018. That's exactly what's been happening since 2018. Every single year since then, it's been exactly the same. Exactly the same. So, that's pretty much how they do it, right? So it just depends on how you view it. There's a certain section of the fan base that is very happy with 90 plus wins and making the playoffs and calling it a crapshoot. So I'm not going to speak for them, but there are a number of fans that are very, very much happy with that. Me personally, I'm not happy with that because I hold the Yankees to a higher standard. But yeah, that's what they're all about. Get to the playoffs and pray for luck. So, with that in mind, can they win 90 plus games and make the playoffs and then inevitably lose? Yes, absolutely, they can do that. They're very capable of doing that. Do I think that they're going to make the World Series? No, I don't. I don't see so. Don't think so. Don't see it. but that speaks to the current roster construction. A lot can change because look at what happened in the last trade deadline. Brian Cashman might just go off and make 6 or 7 trades again. And maybe we add a power right-handed bat that turns this whole thing around mid-season. Who knows? Who knows? I can't see the future. But as constituted, I can safely say I would bet any money on the fact this Yankee team isn't going to make a World Series. Not even make it. I don't even think at the moment as constituted they're an ALCS team. As constituted. I think that their ceiling is the DS. I think that's their ceiling right now. But things can change. Things can change. Moves can happen. Trades can happen. But as constituted, there's too many lefties, and the infield strikes out far too much. Far too much. And there's not enough power coming from the right side after Judge and Stanton. In fact, there's no power from the right side outside of Judge and Stanton. So it's hard for me to really be anything other than honest with you guys. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just being realistic. I just can't see it. That's not normally how you constitute a roster that's going to win championships. It's just like Ryan McMahon strikes out 45% of the time. Anthony Volpe, he struck out like 73% of the time at the DS. Jazz Chisholm strikes out in the 40% range as well. That's a lot of strikeouts. Far too many strikeouts. Austin Wells strikes out at a 40% clip as well. This is a remarkable amount of strikeouts. It's not really, and then they're all coming from the left side. It's really hard for me to see like much upside there. I think their ceiling is a 90-win team, but frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit under. So we have one comment in the chat wondering what the over-under is. Over-under for wins, says TC Steels. I'm at 85. I'm a little bit higher than 85. I'm at 89, I think. 88, 89. I personally don't think they're going to crack 90. I think 89 at the moment. That's not an awful season. It's not a good season. And it will be a bad, I'd constitute that as a pretty bad year, but I'm currently at 89. But a lot can change. As he says, World Series champions or nothing. That's my mentality, my friend, as well. Excuse me. Right. Jonathan says over 85. I agree with that. I think we'll be slightly over 85. John Beagle asks, so with that over under, do you guys think we make the playoffs? Yeah, I think as constituted, third wild card. I think we'll make the third wild card. So yes. And the Yankees would argue that that's a successful season for them. Prepare for a 5th place finish. Oh, I don't know about that. No chance they make the playoffs. Wow. Okay, says Fridays. No chance to make the playoffs. I don't think that they have no chance. I mean, It's the same team as last year that won 90 plus games and made the DS. Now, is it the roster that I want? Absolutely no. Was it a good offseason? No, I would say it was probably pretty much a disgraceful offseason, but it's still the same team that won 90 plus games. So I'm gonna give them that benefit and say they're probably a playoff team. Any team that has Aaron Judge in there, you've got a very good chance of making the playoffs. You know, that guy is a superhero offensively, and then you've also got a hell of a pitching staff there. I do think this is a heck of a pitching staff, so it would be hard for me to say that this isn't a playoff team. There's a lot of good arms there. And Miguel says we'll win over 90 and we'll win the division. I didn't see the Jays getting much better this offseason, and we're getting Cole back, and our young pitchers are going to hold down the bullpen. Okay. Some optimism. I don't see them winning the division, my friend. The Jays absolutely schooled the Yankees last year, and the Yankees didn't get any better. That's my argument. The Jays were already better than the Yankees last year, and the Yankees did nothing to improve. So how can I say then that the Yankees are going to win over 90 games to win the division? That's not logical. That's just not logical. The Jays would have to regress in order for the Yankees to win the division, and I don't see the Jays regressing. In fact, I see the Jays getting better, and I think Dylan Cease is a good pickup. And they got Vlad the Impaler in that lineup. It was a good lineup, even with the loss of Bichette. So I think that I think the Jays are coached better, managed better, and they're a better team than the Yankees right now. They certainly are. Now, I think the real battle is for like second and third place. That's where the Yankees are really battling. It's the Red Sox and the Orioles. That's really what the Yankees realistically are fighting over. And I don't think there's a ton between the three of us, the Yanks, O's, and Red Sox. I think it's going to be a very interesting AL East. I think there's a very good chance that 4 teams are going to have an above 500 record. There's a good chance. I could definitely see it. I think the East is going to be an absolute bear. I think the Yankees and the Red Sox are pretty much neck and neck. Can go either way. And I think the O's are going to surprise a lot of people. I think that my prediction is that Pete Alonso is going to have a really good year. From what I'm hearing, he's slimmed down a bit, and he's in actually the best shape that he's been in a long time. And he looks like he's really excited to get started over there in Baltimore. So my prediction is he's going to have a good year over there in Baltimore, and he's going to make the Yankees regret not even looking at him in the offseason. That's my prediction. So yeah, I could see the O's and the Red Sox having very good years. And then I think the Jays are going to win the division. So it's really anyone's guess as to where the Yankees line. Like the Yankees could finish second. They could have a very good year, finish second, no doubt about it. I'd say there's also a very good chance they could finish third, or at worst fourth. It's all very possible. I'd say right now, I'm going to go right now, without any games being played, seeing how things shake up, I'm probably going to go third. I think right now, at the moment, it would be the Jays winning the division, the Red Sox coming second, Yankees coming third, Orioles fourth, Tampa fifth. But I do believe that all four teams are going to have above 500 records. And the Yankees will probably get the third wild card. That's kind of where I'm at right now, but a lot can change. It's over is not feeling that. That's by the way, that's me being positive. Even though some will say that's negative, that's me being positive. I just don't see much higher than that. 78 and 84 record for Yanks this season. I don't think it'll be that bad. I've not seen the Yankees finish with a below 500 record in a long time. I don't envisage that. Not with this team. I think this team's too good to be 78 and 84. That would be an awful year. I don't think the Yankees are going to have an awful year. I just think they're going to have another mediocre year. 40 come from behind wins. League will adjust. Okay, so Hove thinks that that the Jays are going to go down a bit. I don't agree. I think the Jays are a really good team. And 40 come from behind wins is not a negative thing to be used against the Jays. I would say that's actually a positive thing to say about the Jays, that they never give up. That no matter what the deficit, they believe they can come back. That's a positive thing as far as I'm concerned. So I disagree with you there, Hove. Lucas says, sup all, I'll be back next week as my mom is in town for the week. Miss you, Luca. But I hope you're having a great time with your mom. My best wishes to your mom. I hope you guys are having a great time down there. So hope you guys are having a good time. Right, let's continue to get into the chat here. So Miguel says here, Donald, I'm hearing negativity. That's a no-no, buddy. You see, it depends on what your view of negativity is. I don't believe I'm being negative. I don't believe I'm being negative. I'm being semi-realistic. I can't be anything more than realistic right now. And it looks like there's plenty in the chat being far more negative than I am. So I'm kind of on the medium scale. And negativity is a point of view. Being a realist is another vision, and I'm definitely a realist. We can agree to disagree. I don't see that happening again. Okay, well, Hall very much. So, Hall, do you believe that the Yanks are going to win over 90 games? And they're going to win the division? Okay. Hey, it's possible. We've not seen any games yet. So all this is just opinions. So at the moment, no one's right or wrong. So this is a good time to have these kind of predictions. At the moment, I think the Yankees are going to finish third and be a wild card team. And that'll be that. And I think that they'll, if they're not one and done the playoffs, they'll be done in the DS. I think they'll be the same ceiling as last year. If you have exactly the same team as last year, I can't give you a higher ceiling than last year. That's for me. I'm just going logically. I'm just using logic rather than like negativity. I'm just using pure logic. If a team that got obliterated in the DS is rolled back and it's exactly the same team, almost to a man, like 99%, exactly the same team. I can have a very hard case to say to me that there's got a much of a higher ceiling beyond that. Then, so that's why I think that they are a DS and done again, just like last year. So that's why I have major issues with the premise of rolling back the same flawed roster, because we've already seen their flaws that they have, and they had plenty of flaws last year. And I think the Yankees are trying to pull the wool over our eyes a little bit and pretend that what we saw wasn't real. You know, the Yanks struggled against their own division. They struggled to win any games in their own division. They were around about 500 against their own division. Really struggled against the Red Sox, really struggled against the Jays, struggled against the O's, struggled against Tampa. We just struggled against the American League East. And the O's have gotten better, and the Red Sox have gotten better. And the Jays are just as good as they were last year. So there's a good chance the Yankees are going to struggle against teams in the American League East. They struggle against the elite teams in the National League. That's just a fact. We've not got a good record against teams like the Dodgers and etc. So, that's going to come. That's going to be interesting. And then we also have an issue against teams that are above 500 in general. The only divisions that we absolutely steamroll is like the American League Central. So if we're being realistic, with a team rolled back being exactly the same, they struggle against teams that are above 500, and they struggle against the American League East, then I expect that that's going to continue this year, because I haven't seen that really been much different over the last couple of years. That tends to be how things are going with, especially with an Aaron Boone team. Boone doesn't have a great record, and in matchups against his own division, etc. And he's got a below 500 record in the postseason. So with that in mind, and rolling back to exactly the same flawed roster, I've already mentioned it. They strike out at least a third of those lineups strike out over 40% of the time. You can't really survive like that. That's a lot, and it's all from the left side. So the Yankees are going to get in situations where there's going to be plenty of good bullpen lanes to attack the Yankees. Lefty bats with power arms that's going to take advantage of the fact that we're so strikeout heavy. That's going to be really difficult to overcome. So that's just me being realistic. So for me, the ceiling last year was struggling in the DS, and I think that'll be the same ceiling this year. That's just common sense, really. Now I know that Brian Cashman and is going to try and gaslight you and tell you that wasn't real last year, but that's very much real. That's exactly what happened. So I don't know. I just can't be anything more than realistic. But there'll be some fans out there that will view what happened last year as a good year. I know there are some fans out there that do that view this as being ungrateful. So it really depends on your viewpoint. If you are in the viewpoint that winning 90 games and getting to the DS is a good year, then there's every chance that this is going to be a good year this year. If you're maybe, I would say probably if you're older and you've seen the Yankees win world championships and you've lived the glory days of Jeter and that team, that mentality, which was win a World Series or absolute failure, then I think you're going to be disappointed. And I'm in that latter category. So it's just I can't change who I am. That's my belief system. I'm not going to be changing that belief system. That's it. I was blessed enough to see Derek Jeter every single game of his career from '96 onwards, and I ain't changing because the Yankees have decided to lower their standards. That doesn't make me negative. That just makes me, kind of an old school fan. So I'm sticking by the Derek Jeter motto. He's my guy. So I'm not going to allow the modern viewpoint, the modern Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, Hal Steinbrenner viewpoint that just making the postseason is a great year. No, it's not. It's not how I view the Yankees personally. Anyway, that's just my personal opinion on where we're going with this year. Donald is not negative. He just uses common sense. And that sense and sensibility comes from not winning a championship. I mean, I'm like with the thought process. My guy, Issy. Issy's nailed it. That's exactly the way I view it. Spot on. Yeah. That's exactly it. Healing men's hearts. They struggle against the AL East. That's what I've seen over the last couple of years. I don't see how that's going to suddenly change because the Yankees haven't done anything to really change it. The Grisham signing was bad juju. That's it. I said that the offseason was pretty much done after we brought back Grisham. It was just such a dramatic overpay that really hurt our chances of improving the rest of the roster. And it had nothing to do with Cody Bellinger. My viewpoint was beyond Cody Bellinger. But Joel Sherman missed that point, and he's just been, he just went and screamed and told us all to shut the F up. So that's what we're fighting against as a fan base. They're expecting everyone who had a good season to repeat and the others to improve simultaneously. That's a very good analysis. And that's where I have an issue with like what they're seeing, because I'm just not seeing the same thing. Like, the way I view it is, if we're being realistic, is Grisham due to more likely have a regression than an ascension? I would say he's far more likely to have a regression. Okay. McMahon, he's not had a great offensive year in a while, and he strikes out a lot. So am I expecting that to suddenly turn around? No, I can't. I've not seen any evidence that it will. Even though he's actually one of my favorite players, because I like his mentality. I think he's a great third baseman. He's got a great attitude. I don't think he was a bad pickup. I just think that offensively, I don't see much upside there. The Yankees are expecting him to have this big breakout year. I've not seen it. Thus, I can only go with what I see. Anthony Volpe, that's another one that they're expecting is going to suddenly turn into Corey Seager. I just don't see it. I'm not seeing it his entire career to date. He's 3 years in, going into year 4, and I would say he's been as much of a disaster as anything. He's a complete disaster of a player. In fact, if I was the GM, I would have non-tendered him. That's how much I view Volpe as a disaster. I think it's an absolute disaster of a player. So am I expecting that to suddenly change? No, I can't. Austin Wells, I've not yet seen him consistently bat at an MLB level yet. He's shown flashes, and in his flashes it looks great, but over the piece, his OPS, his batting average, his OPS plus, those will tell you the story that he's just not there yet. Now that could change, but I've not seen that change yet. So again, I'm going with the most likely outcome there. Jazz. That dude's head is in the clouds, but that's someone who is very likely to hit you 35, 40 home runs. So there's that, but his head is in the clouds. Again, I'm not seeing anything different. So I have to go by what I see. And Bellinger, I think Bellinger's going to have a good year, but the reality is, apart from last year, and apart from one good year with the Cubs, he's been a poor baseball player since he won the MVP in 2019. So, again, am I expecting him to regress? No. But do I expect him to be much better than this year, than he was last year? Absolutely not. Don't see it. So I think that this lineup is due to regress. That's my personal contention. I think this lineup will regress. I think a big reason why they were one of the best offenses in baseball last year is because Aaron Judge was Superman. He had one of the greatest seasons of all time. It kind of helps. And Big G had an OPS of just under 1,000. So those two guys were a big reason why our offense was great. And Ben Rice, now that's someone that I do believe in. I do believe in this kid. And I think that if there's someone that I do think is going to take the next step, I think it's going to be Ben Rice. I do believe that genuinely. So, like, a third of this lineup with Ben Rice, Stanton, and Judge are as good as any. As good as any in the American League. I believe that. So that's a positive take. I'm not sure about, I just don't think that this offense is as good as people think it is. Statistically, I believe that they kind of struggle in clutch moments. They struggle situationally, and they strike out too much. And we just didn't add any righty bats, and I think that was a huge mistake from Brian Cashman's point of view, and I think that he will regret it. In fact, I don't think that. I guarantee it. He will regret it. So, with that in mind, I have a hard time believing that there's much of a higher ceiling than what we already showed last year. Yeah, see, I agree with that. Jazz doesn't show up in clutch moments. He's not mentally disciplined and focused to do so. He's a stat stuffer via bad teams and blowout games. I agree with that too. I have no issue with his personality, but I do have issues with the fact he just doesn't look focused. I'm cool with his kind of outspoken personality and him being a little bit different. I think that's a cool thing. That's not a problem for me. As long as he's focused and disciplined, and I just don't see that. And I believe that that's actually more of a regression, but that doesn't really show up in the WAR category. You can only use that via your eyes. And the eye test tells me that he's just not focused enough or disciplined enough to be a championship-winning second baseman. Like, talent-wise, yes. He's about as talented as he comes. His talent is as talented as it comes in baseball. He's fast. He's got elite power. Excellent glove. He makes really difficult plays look easy. I think that was a smart trade, and the Yankees have actually gotten more out of him than the Marlins did. So, like, whatever like happens, I think this has been a successful deal. But I just don't think that we should offer him an extension. I just don't. I don't think that he's focused enough. He just had too many games, like for instance in the playoffs where he yawned, and then there was a game against the Marlins where he perplexingly just stood between first and second base for a pop-up that was like 10 feet from him, just to get himself out. And that's there was just no logical thinking behind that. So I don't think that there's any possibility that he's going to get extended. Why should we? Doesn't mean I dislike him as a player. I just don't see that as being a smart thing to do. Thus, I probably would have looked at trade possibilities with him. I think that if you put him in a package for maybe a Nico Horner or put him in a package for Brandon Donovan, I think that would have been a smarter play, because one of those guys would have been like a leadoff hitter for you, and that would have answered that problem. And they're more focused and more like disciplined, and they're more like contact driven. I think that probably would have been a good deal to make there. You know, I would have certainly have looked into doing one of those moves. Again, it's not really disrespect on him because I do like Jazz. It's just I don't really like his mentality. I just don't think he's focused enough. I think the re-signing of Goldie means that they are going to platoon at first base. I don't think so. I think it's going to be Ben Rice 75% of the time. I just think that Goldschmidt has been brought in as someone that provides cover in a scenario where like Austin Wells maybe goes down or Austin Wells struggles. Then at least there's an opportunity there. Ben Rice could maybe shift over there to catcher at a pinch, and Goldschmidt can get his at-bats at first. Or if there's, God forbid, an injury to Stanton, Ben Rice moves over to DH, then Goldschmidt can cover it first. I think that that's what they're doing. I think they're playing on there being good cover. And also, and this is something that won't show up on the stat sheet, I think Goldschmidt is going to be working with Ben Rice every day to make him a better first baseman. I read an interview from Goldschmidt who says that he was kind of reticent to give Ben Rice too many pointers last year in case of it being viewed as negative, but Ben Rice actually really wants that. So expect Goldschmidt to be kind of Ben Rice's mentor this year. That's why I actually kind of feel pretty good about that signing. I think that's not a bad signing. I don't really see any negative there. It's only $4 million. I don't think he's going to play a lot, but that's a pretty damn good bat to have just in case. And you know, his bat is good enough where he's capable of going on a hot streak for a week or two. So, but I think his biggest role will be kind of as a leader, a good clubhouse guy, and someone that's going to really teach Ben Rice the ins and outs at first base, because Ben Rice's positioning at first leaves a lot to be desired. He makes a lot of mistakes positionally there. So I fully expect Goldschmidt to be working on that and helping them out. And I think you'll be seeing a much better Ben Rice as a first baseman, and a lot of it will be because of Goldschmidt. So I think that was a good signing. Issy's got a great point here, and that's something that the analytics nerds don't really understand. All those sabermetrics and analytics are fine for me, but they don't equate for October intensity. That still comes down to will and destiny. It's incalculable. It's one of the best comments that we've had in a long time. So salute to USC. That's a brilliant point. And I just can't buy this current roster because of that. Again, the analytics nerds are going to be telling you, oh, yeah, but the Yankees had the best lineup in baseball last year. Right, but what did they do in the biggest spots? Not a whole heck of a lot. And it just comes down to a desire, as you say, and smart, high IQ ball. And I just don't see enough of that on this roster. Who would I view as someone with a high IQ? McMahon is actually someone I would consider with a high IQ. I think he's a high IQ ball player. Jazz, absolutely not. Volpe, absolutely not. Wells' IQ, it's a bit shaky for me. Not sure about that. Grisham, no. I just don't see enough of them. I just don't see enough of it. That kind of like, we will win. Whatever it takes, kind of a winning mentality. I just don't see it. Bellinger, I can see it. Stanton, yes. Judge, sure. Not much beyond that, though. Who do you think will be the fifth starter? It's a good question. Who do you think will be the fifth starter? Well, remember, our roster is going to be changing it somewhat when Cole and Rodon are back. So it depends on if you mean like our fifth starter coming out of camp or our fifth starter once everybody's healthy. I think our fifth starter coming out of camp would be Will Warren. Yeah. Okay, it means opening day. Then I think it'll be Will Warren. I think it'll be Warren, fifth starter, and I think Weathers would be a fourth starter. And Cam Schlittler, Max Fried, Louis Hill, in no particular order. I think that'll be your 5 starters. And then I think once Cole and Rodon are ready, then I think Warren shifts over to the bullpen. That's my contention. Well, this has actually been a pretty good discussion. I was, with Uncle Tats being unavailable and not too many things happening in the news, I was wondering what we could really discuss. But I think we've broke down spring pretty well. Spring expectations, position battles, who we're looking forward to seeing. I think it was a pretty good discussion. And this has got a good point here. Judge, Stanton, Cole, Fried, Bellinger have the mindset, but at their ages, the window is small. This is why the Yankees need to go all in and surround them with the right supporting cast. That's the frustration. And that's the frustration that I feel with. I'm exactly the same with USC. That's my frustration as well. It just feels like they just don't have the urgency for that small window. But Joel Sherman will tell us to shut the F up. So there we go. But what we do know is thank you to everybody that has joined me today. Please do hit the like button. Been a really good discussion, and we look forward to the next one. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. Be well, and we'll see you on the next show. And as Uncle Tats likes to say, we are pinstripes with pride and play hard. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great day.